today we're going to be talking about lighting and camera lenses. I'm going to be spending most of my time actually talking about lighting because that's a super important part of filmmaking, surprisingly, is having good lighting, because lighting can set the mood, it can set the tone for a lot of movies and videos as to, what kind of video you want to make and kind of what the language is that you want to speak with it. So I'm going to show you 3 different lighting setups that I'm going to demonstrate for you today. The first one will be inside with studio lights. And so that's normally using 3-point lighting, and I'm going to explain what 3-point lighting is when I show you what the studio lighting setup is. But you can do this with really affordable lights. My lights weren't that expensive, and I'll send some links for what those lights are. The second option is going to be just using inside natural window light to shoot. And that's if you have no lights at all and you just have the lights in your house, or you're shooting in the daytime and you have windows in your house. This is a really easy way to get good lights and a good lighting situation without actually having to buy or purchase lights. But I would highly recommend using professional lights in the future, especially if you want to make your videos look more and more professional. And then the third lighting setup is going to be outside, and I'm going to show you what you can do with just the sun and how you can place your subject and kind of which direction looks best when you're just working with natural sunlight. So let's get started. So right now, these are the lights that are part of my house. There's one right above the camera, and then there's a light to my right, which is this side, that's the window light. And so this is what natural lighting looks like. Obviously this is okay, and it still lights my face. You can probably still see it, and you can still work with the camera to boost the levels in order for you to see it. But obviously you want to give as much light as possible so that you can be able to light your subject really well. And so one way we do that is using 3-point lighting. So this is a diagram here of 3-point lighting. And the main light is going to be called the key light, which is going to be diagonal to the broad side, or the side that you want to highlight of the subject. And then the fill light is on the other side, and it's going to be a lot softer, and it's going to usually be a lower, a not as bright light. And then at the back, you want to have a backlight. And so that's just to separate the subject from the background, and it helps to create a 3-dimensional space using a 2-dimensional screen. So you really want to use light to really liven and fill the spots in the camera that seem a little bit more dull and dead. Obviously, there's a whole art to using lighting to create really beautiful videos, and that phrase is called cinematography. It's being able to use the camera and the lighting to really create cinematic pieces that are kind of what you see in the movies. But right now, I'm just going to talk to you about really basic 3-point lighting, just to light the subject's face. So this is what it looks like when I have just one key light on my face. And then this is what it looks like when I have a fill light filling in the light on the other side. And then this is what it looks like when I added the backlight in the back, which you can't see, but I'll show you later. So yeah, this is kind of the basics of what the setup would be like if you had a 3-point lighting setup. Okay, so I'm here at my living room, and I'm using my lovely husband, Sam, as a model. And he's just going to do his thing. But I'm going to show you what this lighting setup looks like. So right now, I'm positioning myself in front of this window. It's kind of blown out. So this is the window I'm using. There's actually blinds on it, but you can't really see because it's so bright. But I'm using this window to light his face. So what that means is that all the light source is coming directly from this window. There's also some light coming from the dining room. And so this is what it looks like on this camera. So his face is more evenly lit. Obviously, if you want something more dramatic, you can turn. So now the light is hitting more of the side of his face. as opposed to just the front of his face. I also would recommend that you shoot in the corner. So as you can see, he's sitting directly in front of the corner of my living room. And so that helps to create more space in the frame. It is like 1:30, and this is when I'm just using my window. So this is the setup that I have right here. So this is for an indoor lighting setup. Okay, so we are outside right now, and I'm gonna do a demonstration of what not to set your camera to. But I have set Sam, and he's sitting directly in the sun. So as you can see, he's in direct sunlight. And on the other camera, so this is a no-no. So right now, his face is completely blown out, which means you can't see his face at all. And he also doesn't look good. So how do you fix this? So we're gonna have Sam move to the shade, actually. Okay, so this looks a little bit better, but now the background is super bright, right? And so we wanna try to fix this by making the background around the same lighting as the foreground. So I'm gonna have Sam move again, and I'm gonna have him move into the shade where the background is dark and the foreground is dark. He's still in the sun a little bit, but now his face isn't too blown out and isn't too bright, and the background also isn't too bright. So this is what I would normally set up if I have this whole space and this section is too bright. But even in the shade, the background's too bright, so we're gonna move him to the shade where the light is the same as the back as it is in the front. So right now you can see that he looks very good and even, and now it's just mostly about composition and framing. So I wouldn't really put him there because it actually bisects him in half. So in the future, I would probably move him so that there's not a line going directly through his head. But for right now, the lighting is good. So this is an example of what it would look like if I was shooting outside and I didn't have any lights and I wanted to have something that was at least a little bit more balanced. Obviously, his face looks pretty flat right now because we don't have different kinds of lights. But for right now, I think that's the best we can do. So when we talk about camera lenses, it can be kind of hard to understand what the different camera lenses mean. So I'm going to just show you a couple camera lenses that I have and kind of what shots they would get you for using different ones. I have a 50 mm prime lens, and then here on my camera here, I have a 24 mm. So mm just stands for the millimeters of the barrel. You can look more at the videos that I've listed to talk a little bit more about what exactly they mean technically. But really what it means is the higher the number, the closer up the lens will get you. So a 50 is pretty close up. I'm going to show you a demo of what a 50 looks like. Compared to a 24 is a bit more of a wider lens. So the smaller the number, the wider it can go. The bigger the number, the closer up you can go. And so I'm going to use my husband Sam to demonstrate what these different barrel lengths mean. So right now I'm using it at 28, which is considered wide. So right now this lens that I'm using is it's considered a zoom lens because it goes from 28 all the way to 75. So if I just zoom in with this zoom lens, you can see how it starts to get a little bit tighter. So this is now at 35. And then I'm going to go to 50. Gets a little bit closer. And then at 75, he is now super, super close to go wider. So this is a wide angle shot, which allows you to see everything around Sam, but also allows you to see Sam. But if I want you to just look at Sam, then I'm just going to zoom in. So the nice thing about shooting wide is that you can always crop in when you edit. The hard thing about when you zoom in is that this is all you have to work with. It doesn't mean that either is better or worse. It's just a different kind of shot that you can have in different styles, especially when you're editing. It allows for there to be more variance in what you're looking at in your video. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. We went over different lighting situations and setups, and we also talked about different camera lenses and what you can get out of these different camera lenses. So if you still have questions, please let me know. I've also given you some resources to watch in addition to this video that kind of break down further what each of these dynamics mean and how you can use lighting and your different camera lenses to really make your video look very professional. So yeah, I hope you have fun and enjoy.